Hey everyone, on today's episode, we focus on the bitching and moaning of the NFL running back. You're not a fantasy football team, and you're not really that valuable, but they'll continue to complain. Also involving money, Aaron Rodgers and his new restructured deal is very interesting to me. The Mbappe unbelievable offer and what other people said about it also was very interesting to me. And very, very interesting to me as we finish the show off, NBA top 3 picks and what you can expect going forward and what you can expect coming up right now is the show. So tune in. What's up, everyone? It's time for another episode of Tricky Guy Sports. It's your host, Brent Bilski, a.k.a. Double B. We are in full off-season mode, NFL and NBA, although NBA is going to start soon. But let's talk about what most athletes want to talk about in the, off-season when things aren't going on and they're doing through their contracts. Let's talk about the money.
Money, money,
oh
money.
My God.
Money, money, money.
I mean, good God. I have a lot of thoughts on that. Also, Summer League Rookie of the Year, I will get to some things that I told you about that other people are finally on my bandwagon with. But let's go ahead and start with some of the stuff that the stories I keep hearing, whether it's Mbappe and the soccer deal, whether it's, baseball right now, trade deadlines, whether it's NBA offseason, Jaylen Brown getting his money, whether it's NFL, holdouts, this, contract negotiations. Everyone is all, and look, I get it. It's important. If you're a, professional athlete, you want millions of dollars, you want that money. It's like the wedding singer.
I'm a big fan of money. I like it. I use it. I have a little. I keep it in a jar on top of my refrigerator. I'd like to put more in that jar. That's where you come in.
And I'll get into some other thoughts about it, but let's just start off with the NFL running backs and their money situation. Good Lord, someone start them a GoFundMe or something. Jesus age, bitch. I am over it when it comes to the NFL running backs and all the nonsense here. I mean, Jesus. Like I said, go start a GoFundMe, man. For just $70 million a year, you too could support poor Josh Jacobs or Jonathan Taylor or Najee Harris or whoever else is just Saquon Barkley finally, reported he was able to move his franchise tender and be able to get a couple things guaranteed here and there. So he decided to show up. But Jesus H. Christ, I don't know what else to say, and I'm going to continue to point out the two things that running backs in the NFL need to understand here, and I'm going to hammer this home one more time. A, it's not fantasy football, man. This is real life. This is not fantasy football. Unfortunately, the position is being paid what its value is in today's NFL. And two, and I think more importantly when it comes to these guys right now, what they need to understand is that the position does have value. And you're right, it has been devalued a little bit, but the running back position has value. You as an individual, not so much. Not so much, man, and I don't know how else to explain this to you. The position still is very important to the NFL. It's not quite as important as it is in fantasy football, but it is very important. But the problem is it's supply and demand, man. The 1 or 2 years y'all spent in college that any of you go to econ class, basic 101 supply and demand. You're not the only running back. There's like 9 behind you that are ready to come in and are younger and are less hurt and have less wear and tear. So yeah, you're going to make some money though, man. You're going to make millions. These guys bitching about their 1-year franchise tag are bitching about $10.1 million. And yes, it's not $18 million that's guaranteed to every other position in the NFL offensively, like, tight ends and up. But it's still $10 million, and I mean, good God, I don't know how much I can feel for you. Like, anyone seen The Replacements when the pros went on strike and we all got tired of it? I mean, when did Keanu Reeves' vehicle about sports become prophetic? You say Keanu Reeves' prophetic movies, you think The Matrix, you don't think The Replacements. But I mean, how much does a Ferrari cost to fill?
Do you have any idea what insurance costs in a Ferrari, mother?
You have any idea what that costs, man?
Do you have any idea what insurance costs in a Ferrari, mother?
I mean, give me a flipping break. So, yeah, they've been all over the map here with all their whining and bitching. I mean, there was the big, most people know about the Zoom meeting now, as I'll turn down the dramatic music. But yes, for just $70 million over 4 years, you too could support these poor running backs. So they had this big-ass Zoom meeting. It was led by Austin Eckler. I think most of y'all have caught on to this by now. And they had it was a conference. It was him. It was Nick Chubb. It was McCaffrey. It was Henry. It was Barkley. Basically, all the big running backs in NFL got together on this Zoom call and just had like a crybaby session about how hard their life is and how they're not being valued and na. Nick Chubb spoke about it later. I actually have that for you here. Let me go ahead and get to it. Nick Chubb was given his, his plea about the hardship of the NFL running back.
McCaffrey and Derrick Henry and Saquon all had a lot of good points, but the biggest thing is that we're in a position that our production hurts us the most. If we go out there and run for 2,000 yards with so many carries, the next year they're going to say, you're probably worn down. That's the biggest thing that I took from it. It's tough. It hurts us just to go out there and do good. It hurts us at the end of the day.
Oh, yes, it hurts your life so bad to do well. I mean, bitch, moan.
Just don't get it, do you? You don't.
And, I mean, look, there is some truth to what they're saying, though. Yeah, that you do wear down quicker than other positions. But, I mean, it's not like no one even put a gun to your head or said, hey, you have to play running back in the NFL. But this idea that it hurts their value, stop it. I mean, the position itself, you're just going through, what's happening as far as overall. But you're still, dude, Najee Harris after all that came out, by the way, came out and was speaking about it. Because now that's not just enough. Now the running backs, in case you don't know this, the new thing is they want to restructure the CBA. They want to restructure the entire collective bargaining agreement and try to make it to where running backs aren't, put into a position and that the franchise tag, and just basically make a huge mess of the fact that you all agreed to something. They want to go now back and bitch to the NFL Players Union and try to get it to restructure a deal that takes a long time, that takes years, as Jim Irsay, owner of the Colts, who does have his issues, but he made a good point when he said we've negotiated a CBA that took years of effort and in good faith by both sides, and now you have agents telling their players to not try to act in good faith to the agreement where, again, you're millionaires, man. Like, I don't, I mean, really? Really? I'm not feeling you on this. I'm not feeling because none of your arguments are even legit. None of your arguments even make sense. As Najee Harris was talking about it, and this idea that it's a conspiracy or something, that they're being, mistreated. It's nonsense. It's goofball talk. It's silly. It's dopey. It's the dopey talk. It's the dopey dumb talk that I've talked about before.
That's dopey talk. That's dopey dumb talk.
So they asked Najee Harris after Saquon did agree to go back to the Giants, and because it was a horrible bluff for Saquon to not pretend like he wasn't going to return and be ready. He's a team guy. He was getting $10 million guaranteed. He was a top draft pick, which means he got guaranteed money already. So it's not like this guy's out on the street, begging for money for cleats or something. He's doing just fine. So, he reported back to training camp, still hasn't been able to get a long-term deal, but then they asked Najee Harris about it, and he said, they asked me alone to, basically win the game. Now it's this, they asked me to basically do it all by myself, and then they want to pay me the money, and blah. And again, bitch. Let's get the, dramatic music again. They asked me alone. The game's going to rely on you. You need to do this for the team. You got to do this right here. It's time to close out the game. We need to lean on you right now. And it happens in a lot of places. Like Cleveland, Tennessee, even with the Niners, there's numerous teams where this happens at. And the only time when they choose to say the position is devalued, it's when it's time to pay the running back. It's not devalued at all. They just don't want to pay the running back. Now it's that they don't want to. Like all the NFL running backs, bang the owners and general managers' wives and sisters and mothers and God knows else. And they're just all on some big humbug about, nope. I mean, I'd rather lose. I'd rather lose than pay my running back. That's what they're on, Najee. That really, come on, this is, I don't, cry me a frickin' river. I don't know what to say. Yeah, that's what it is, Najee. They don't want to pay you. That's what it is. They're so upset that you get all these touchdowns and all this love that they're like, you know what, when it comes to negotiations and contracts, we're going to screw the running backs. There's a big collusion. We're all going to screw the running backs because we just hate them. No, it's because if you look as everything is going forward and all the metrics, NFL owners and general managers have one goal, is to keep their job. How do they keep their job? By winning. It really is that simple. Sometimes life is complicated and simple at the same goddamn time. If they need to keep their job, like you want to keep your job, they have to put a winning team on the field. What puts a winning team on the field? Not paying your running back all the money you guys want. and not giving you long-term deals. By the way, most of you were offered Saquon and, some of the other guys here, Jonathan Taylor's and others bitching, Tony Pollard, who actually was pretty cool about it. He wasn't really on this trip that a lot of the other ones were on. But they did. They offer you long-term deals, but it's not enough. You want more. You want to get what someone else got. You want to get this. It's not guaranteed enough. There's too many exemptions or, negotiations to where I have to play to earn it, and it's not fair because the quarterback gets more and the offensive lineman gets more and even the defensive lineman get more, and I'm the running back. I do all the work and you give me nothing money because you hate me. Bleh. Shut up. Jesus Christ. But again, I'll just get back into it again. I love putting up the dramatic music because it deserves it. I mean, and it's just not true. I mean, if you want the truth, we'll give you the truth one more damn time.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Because, one of the big stats that came out, there was a graphic, I'll show it to you here, that the highest paid running backs in 2023 are going to be led by Bijan Robinson. The last running back to get a $10 million or more long-term deal was Nick Chubb, same guy who's complaining about what's going on right now because Cleveland Browns aren't winning even though they paid Nick Chubb his money. Tony Pollard, by the way, got a text from Ezekiel Elliott the other day. That was another report that came out. Dallas Cowboys new running back Tony Pollard, well, not new, but been around and now has moved into the starting role because Ezekiel Elliott's gone because, he was just all sorts of his own issues. He decided to text Tony Pollard good luck as far as getting, his negotiation, everything going. In case y'all forgot, Ezekiel Elliott is probably the reason that poor Tony Pollard is not going to get the money that he wants because Ezekiel Elliott held out famously in 2019. I don't know how many people remember this. I do. He held out in 2019 until he got his money, and he ended up getting like $90 million, $50 million guaranteed. And as soon as he got his money, his production dropped off. And in the playoffs, this guy, do you know how many? Okay, for $50 million, this is a shining example of what I'm talking about. Ezekiel Elliott, who just texted Tony Pollard good luck. And like I said, Tony has not been a jerk about any of this, that he didn't get his long term. He's not complaining. He's not one of the whiners. But after, Ezekiel Elliott held out in 2019 and got his money, do you know how many touchdowns that led to in the playoffs? 0.
0.0.
In 2021, when the Cowboys made it to the playoff, Ezekiel Elliott, one of the highest paid guys on the team, got his money, got everything that he wanted, was so great in the playoffs for 31 yards on 12 carries and 2.6 carries and 2.6 yards per carry and no touchdowns.
0.0.
2 games played the next season when they get to the playoffs. He averaged, 2.3 yards per carry after he had 53 yards on 23 carries and once again 0 touchdowns.
0.0.
Yeah, Najee, it's because they hate you. It's because they just don't want to pay you. It's a big conspiracy against the whole world, and you're a victim of it. I mean, good God, I feel like Michelle Pfeiffer. There are no victims in this backfield.
There are no victims in this classroom.
Oh, my God. Bitch. And so let's look at one more time, though. Let's look again. Highest paid running backs 2023. Bijan Robinson's going to be at the top because he's one of the top first-round draft picks, and that's a whole nother CBA agreement. But then let's look after that and once again point out, does it lead to success to pay your running backs a ton of money? And the answer, is no. Besides McCaffrey, who had already joined a winning team that had a good defense and really is more dependent on what they're doing at quarterback, he's the only one on this list so far that I'm looking at in at least the top 5 or 6 that is actually on a winning franchise. They paid Alvin Kamara a bunch of money. How's that working for New Orleans? They paid Aaron Jones his money. After, Aaron Rodgers has left, the bigger Aaron left to New York, that's really, until they find out what they got in Love. Now that they got Love, what are they going to do? They may not go to Aaron Jones, and that $10 million might end up being money they could have used other places. Nick Chubb, one of the biggest complainers right now, who's the last one to get the long-term $10 million deal, is in Cleveland, and they're struggling, and we'll find out with Deshaun Watson, but really it all leans on him again and all the money they paid him. Derrick Henry's been one of the best backs in the world, but still, Titans are still, not exactly Super Bowl favorites at this point. Joe Mixon, okay, finally, as you get to 7, 8, 9, now we're at least starting to see some names that are on some teams that might have value. But even Joe Mixon, after he got his money, he's been devalued a little bit. Did not have, he had a good game in the second playoff game, but once he played Kansas City, he was barely able to play and was a huge distraction because, in case y'all forgot, and once again I didn't, this guy decided to go ahead and get on a road rage incident and pull a gun on a woman. I mean, Jesus H. Christ. Pulls a gun on some poor girl in a road rage incident, and we don't know what's going to happen there, but still, I mean, that's... You know what? That's a whole nother story. Point being, you look at top-paid running backs, again, it's not equaling success when you look at like top-paid quarterbacks or even top-paid offensive linemen. I mean, I'll show you other positions and talk about guys who have to, get hit all the time and are dependent on and don't really get a lot of love and credit and are getting their value because when it looks like what you pay them, it's what equals into success. Let's ignore quarterbacks, which is already pretty obvious that you need a great quarterback to go ahead and win in this league. Look at other positions that, aren't the sexiest or don't get the attention that running backs do. Now at the top, you do have the Texans, and they're going to be they're a rebuild, they're a project, but starting with your left tackle is never a bad idea. Then you go to like 49ers, Trent Williams at second. You go to the Eagles, their guy Lane Johnson at 5. You have the Chiefs, Juwan Taylor at 6. You have the Ravens, Ronnie Stanley at 8. I mean, the Vikings, Brian O'Neill at 10. Those are the contenders in the NFL. Those are the ones who actually have a really good shot at winning a Super Bowl this year. And so, I mean, I can just keep pointing it out over and over and over again. But the fact is, outside of the quarterback, really, an offensive lineman and really at the top, even edge rusher, defensive lineman can be a little bit of a trickiness there if you look at the top paid and equaling success. But outside of the quarterback, it's just hard to invest. And a lot of times, once you invest the money in a star outside of that position, it can end up being a bloated contract that you'll regret, by year 2 or 3. NFL general managers are becoming aware of this. They're starting to figure this out. And there's just not much else to say other than, God, quit your crying. Quit your crying.
Crying all the time. Quit crying, just a push-up or something.
I really, I'm trying not to just hammer or just be repetitive. But, I mean, once again, it's hilarious that guys like Ezekiel Elliott are telling Tony Pollard good luck with his contract when Ezekiel Elliott is a perfect example of someone who had a bloated contract that did not perform and ended up being a big waste of money, scoring 0 touchdowns in 3 playoff games after he got paid. It's amazing to me that Nick Chubb is out here after he's the last one to get the $10 million plus long-term deal, talking about how they've been devalued, when again the Cleveland Browns are not exactly Super Bowl contenders, even though he's been playing great. It's another example of, look, that position, as important as it is in fantasy, is just not as important as you think it is because you get to score the touchdowns and you get to have a lot of love and attention. It's the sexy position and it gets highlights and all that's great. But overall success, and I'll show you this one more last time, when it came to Super Bowl winning teams, nobody pays their running back anymore. It's just the way it is. Look at this. This was from, let me see, this was from like 2000, I want to say 9 to like now or something. This was an interesting thing I showed before. Yeah, 2009 to 2021, the highest paid for the leading rusher on the Super Bowl winning team. So take all those 10 years that are just recent, from 2009 to 2021. Take all the leading rushers and what they were getting paid. Nobody got paid more than $2.5 million. If that doesn't really explain it all, I don't know what else does. The fact is, in the last, almost the last 12 years, you look at everything going on, the most the leading rusher was paid ever in that entire time period was $2.5 million. And again, that was Percy Harvin. That was Percy Harvin, who does special teams and does other stuff. 2021, Cam Akers. 2020, Leonard Fournette. 2019, Damian Williams. This isn't exactly murderer's row of running backs here. And the salaries, 1.1, 2 million, 1 million, 480,000, 900,000, 760,000. They weren't getting these $14, $15 million deals that apparently you guys think you deserve. So shut up. And by the way, money won't even make you. Let me get into another subject here, now that I think I've made my point. Good God. The fact is, look at guys who are maybe, looking at the bigger picture here. That money, look, it's money. I get it. It's money. We all love money. We all need it more. I understand.
I'm a big fan of money. I like it. I use it. I have a little. I keep it in a jar on top of my refrigerator. I'd like to put more in that jar. That's where you come in.
But if you don't understand that it's only part of what makes you overall whole, and that's just, this is maybe just more of a rant to the people listening and people at home. They say after $75,000, now obviously most of us would like to do better than that, but they say even after $75,000 that it doesn't affect your happiness at all. Studies show that if you can make 75 or more consistently, that money itself is not going to be the overall decider of your happiness, because at least you have everything covered. You know, you don't have a lot, but you got food, you got a roof, you got a vehicle, you got insurance most likely. I mean, you're not going to Tahiti or anything, but you're doing just fine. And a lot of these athletes who are doing well right now are really seeing a bigger picture here that I just think is at least an interesting point as well to make. Guys like Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers just took a pay cut. Now, yes, Aaron Rodgers is worth $200 million. And so has a net worth of $200 million and is still getting like a guaranteed $35 million up front. But the fact is, Aaron Rodgers just took a pay cut. And he's looking at the overall team success, how much they traded for him, and maybe that darkness retreat that he went on, that loony little thing that he did, maybe gave him some, some perspective, a little bit of hope in life, a little bit of understanding that not every dollar bill is in the end all that matters. But, I mean, he came out, took his money, and said he just signed his 2 year, $75 million fully guaranteed deal. He was set to make 110. Could have raked the Jets over the coals. Maybe the Taylor Swift concert he was at got him going, and he decided that things are more important. And he said after, he realized in the blockbuster trade to get him there that the team gave up significant pieces for just a 1 year deal. But I'm having a blast. And so I don't see this being a 1 year thing, and that being the case, I don't feel like, raking you guys over the coals for every dollar I can get. I'd rather win. I'd rather have success. Go get me maybe Dalvin Cook. Go get me another offensive lineman. We got some real pieces here. We got a good defense. We got Breece Hall. We got some wide receivers here. That Wilson kid, Garrett Wilson, looks like he might be the next big stud. Fantasy people may make sure to keep an eye on him. But Aaron Rodgers is saying, look, man, I could rake you over for every dollar I want, and I'm not going to do it. Now, yes, does he have the money to say that? Sure. And does that make it easier? Duh. But still, he's having a good time, man. He's not worried about it. I mean, you guys are millionaires, man. You're millionaires. Jaylen Brown. Boston Celtics. Let me go ahead and give you that one. Jaylen Brown just re-signed into a huge contract extension, in case you missed it. 5 years, $307 million, which is the highest paid ever in NBA history. So congratulations to Jaylen Brown in Boston. Money, money, money. Money, money, money. But even he's saying with his money, he's not going to go out and buy a bunch of Lamborghinis and shit. What he wants to do is reinvest and try to help out the community in Boston. And I could say good luck as far as like exactly the goals that he has here. But look at this. Jaylen Brown, right after he got his money, came out and said, I want to reinvest into the city. I want to help underprivileged people, and I want to help people of color, and I want to do some good with what I got. I'm not worried about, trying to... Anyways, here he goes.
As well, Boston could be, a fully integrated, self-sufficient, hub, attacking minorities and stimulating the wealth gap. I think Boston could be a pilot, not just for wealth disparity here in the U.S., but also for around the world. So you asked me what I wanted to do or what I want to do. One, I want to, attack that wealth gap here in Boston, create a project. Also, I want to help stimulate the overall economy, and I want to bring Black Wall Street here to Boston.
Yeah, I love it. I don't think he's going to be able to do it, as unfortunately he's going to find out, and maybe he already knows, but a lot of you don't know, that even, and especially certain states, I don't want to get into a political thing here, but man, them taxes will get you, boy. Them taxes will get you. I saw this. Look at this. After taxes per year, what Jaylen Brown, instead of making $60.8 million, which is what his salary says, look at this. $22.5 million in federal tax, $6 million NBA escrow, $1.8 in agent fee, which I think is worth it, $1.4 in FICA, $1.8 jock tax, and $2.7 Massachusetts tax. Means he goes from $60.8 million to $24.5. He makes way less now than half because of the state that he's in, the taxes, and the bracket, and the way the laws are set up. So even, as much as he's doing, being able to truly impact, I can get into a whole nother just diatribe about how I get so sick and tired of y'all bitching at the Bezoses and Zuckerbergs of the world. If they would just give away like 5% of their money, they could feed the planet 9 times over for 170 years. No, they can't. Money doesn't really, it's not that easily dispersed. It doesn't work that way. And I don't know what to tell you. If you believe so, you're fired.
You're fired.
I mean, it's just not the truth. But, I mean, I like where his head's at. I like that he's, again, thinking bigger picture. I like guys like Aaron Rodgers who are able to look and say, hey, I don't need the Jets to give me every single penny on the planet. I'm going to be all right. Now, does $200 million net worth and $300 million overall help you come to that decision? Absolutely. But the big one, that a lot of people have been paying attention to, and this is especially annoying to me, and NBA players reacting to this, is the Mbappe, the French guy. In case y'all missed that, the Frenchie out there, Mbappe, got, offered insane money from Saudi Arabia. Money. And boy, did they react to that, and I thought this was very interesting here. Mbappe, I hope I'm saying his name right, Kylian Mbappe, the French superstar soccer player, was offered by Saudi Arabia, and Al Hilal, I believe is the name of the team, was offered a $332 million 1-year deal. A $332 million 1-year deal that apparently could land all the way up into a package that they were thinking about $776 million or something. Let's see, because the Al Hilal $332 million is just 1 year and will allow him, but he actually is turning it down as well. He wants to go to Real Madrid and go play there. And I guess there was a package that's been rumored of $776 million. And Mbappe has said no to it. He said $330 million for 1 year. I'm saying no. $776 million, I'm saying no, because even he understands as a young guy that it's not, dude, it's great. That's insane. To give you an idea, I could show you, someone did a whole graphic on this. Let me show you the Mbappe thing. 1-year deal to Al Hilal, $776 million for 1 season. Which is just bananas. Which equals out $64 million a month, $64.6 million a month. Let's see, I'll keep going here. $14.7 million per week, $2.1 million a day, $88,500 an hour, $24 per second. But $2 million a day is just crazy. Money. And apparently, he's on radio silence, but they're saying he's turning it down, that he has the ability, and everything would be perfect. He could actually, because of the way things are set up, he can still get to Real Madrid and spend 1 year out there in Saudi Arabia and get his $330 million. And even he seems to have a bigger picture and understanding of, dude, it's not the only thing that matters in life. You look at what Messi's doing now. He decided to go to Miami. Now, he took some money there as well, but he's having a good time. There's more to making you whole than just what comes with the contract. And, if anyone, can prove that point right now, he's a young guy. He could say, I need all this, and I need it to do the annoying cliches I hear athletes say, to take care of my family and do this other bullshit I hear that just drives me absolutely bonkers when I hear somebody, anything after like $5-10 million, you've changed your family. If you're smart with your money and you've gotten up to $5 or $10 million and you have a net worth around there, you have generational wealth, at least enough to give them what they need. And by the way, 70% of generations that didn't earn that wealth and get it, blow it within the first generation. It's just the way that it goes. But NBA players, which I find fascinating, by the way, also joined in on this. NBA players specifically went out and tweeted a lot after Mbappe's deal was announced of possibly $776 million. Guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo, I thought this was cute. He put up a picture and said to Kylian, Al Hilal, you can take me. I look like Kylian Mbappe. And if you look at the picture, the small picture of Kylian there and Giannis, I have to be careful here.
Because I'm white. Because he's white. Because he is white. Look at him, man. What you want?
I'm not going to say how much they look alike, but Giannis apparently thinks that they look alike. And so other than that, I'll just go ahead and leave that one alone. Yeah, I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. But, he wasn't the only one. Damian Lillard, who we hope gets to Miami soon, tweeted out $770 million WTF. Draymond Green, who just signed a 4-year, $100 million deal, was inquiring, does Saudi Arabia have a basketball league? And LeBron James famously tweeted out a picture of Forrest Gump running, making a joke of, like, as soon as my contract's done, if you offer me $776, I'll run to you just like Forrest out there to Saudi Arabia. And also, as I just have a million thoughts today, I do also love the irony of the fact that all these NBA players are suddenly making jokes about going to Saudi Arabia and selling out to go to Saudi Arabia, when if any league I can think of, not named WNBA or NFL a couple years ago, is supposed to be Mr. Civil Rights and, treating everyone the right way. And it's all about making sure everyone's got equality. Even joking about the idea that you would run to Saudi Arabia is interesting to me. There's a whole thing, there's a term now being called out there called sports washing, where they're saying that Saudi Arabia and these companies and these teams are doing this on purpose, that they're offering this big money specifically because they want people to start ignoring the fact they realize that sports, we forgive a lot if you can win games and you entertain us. We'll forgive a lot of different things. See Ray Rice and, Conor McGregor and all sorts of names there. But the idea that the NBA player who is usually all about, we got, injustice here, injustice there, is taking it so lightly and making, basically the at least the inference that they would go to Saudi Arabia, which is famous for putting gay people to death, which is famous for having activists jailed, for killing journalists and covering it up, for having like over 200 people executed just last year. I mean, good God, women, they talk about, we got to help the WNBA, we got to help this, we got to help this rights. Meanwhile, gay people are being executed. And boy, ask women how it is in Saudi Arabia. I think like 3 years ago, they finally allowed them to drive. And, still going through issues. They say like 35% of all women in Saudi Arabia have violence issues that they don't report or can't report because no one really gives a crap because they're women in Saudi Arabia. Yet you think it's kind of cute to just be like, yeah, well, if they'd pay me enough, I'd go there. You know what? I'll move on. But the point to all of that is that you look at Aaron Rodgers, you look at, Mbappe, you look at Jaylen Brown versus some of the other ones who are out there bitching and moaning. There's an interesting, if it's not causation, it's correlation. You got to give me that when you look at you look at Aaron Rodgers right now, he's having really a resurgence for the New York Jets and looks like they are going to have a very good year. You look at Mbappe, this guy is winning basically everywhere he goes, was just in the World Cup final just last year and continues to have success. You look at Jaylen Brown and the Boston Celtics, they are constantly in the title, conversation there. Then you look at other guys, the Najee Harrises and the Saquon Barkleys and some of the running backs in the league who are openly complaining about how hard their life is, noticing a difference. I guess is my only point. And it's only money. And yes, sometimes when you're at their level, when you're at the Rodgers and Mbappe and Jaylen Brown level, maybe you're able, it's just easier to forego what is so much harder for other people to accept. But with the money, and maybe Mbappe specifically understands this, with the money, there also does buy you things like pressure to win, pressure to spend, and pressure to bend. When you get offered by anybody, if somebody gives you $770 million, you better believe a championship is like the lowest expectation that they have. You better believe that the pressure when you get that type of money and then you start looking around and you start seeing what other people do and other people buy, it is a common human trait. This is a reason rich neighborhoods all have the same cars and the same clothes, and they get steppered and they get all, very much because there's a innate human need. If other people around you are buying things, you don't even buy them anymore because you want them. You end up buying them because you just don't want to be embarrassed or you don't want to look bad. So, there's pressure to win, there's pressure to spend, and there's pressure to bend with that type of money. The fact is, there's pressure to bend from your family, there's pressure to bend from your friends, there's pressure to take care of other people, and a lot of times you end up blowing it all in the first place. If you don't have something more whole in your soul, as I continue to rhyme here, it'll all be gone anyways.
And it's gone.
I don't care how much you make. It'll all end up just going poof and all be gone if you don't have a bigger picture of what's important. Does anyone remember Broke? The 30 for 30 Broke? I thought that was a fascinating documentary, and maybe a lot of these guys, including the fans, need to watch this again because it just made a good point. It was all about these NFL and NBA athletes specifically blowing through their money because, they were paying attention to everything but what was important in life and not understanding that they need to hold on to it, that you don't need to keep up with the Joneses, that every dollar doesn't count if it doesn't have anything more value to you than just the ability to buy shit. So the trailer, I'll play it one more time. Y'all need to go watch this. ESPN 30 for 30 put out this great thing called Broke. I want to say it was like 10 years ago, and it still holds true. 78% NFL players gone bankrupt. 60% NBA players are broke after 5 years.
My first contract, I think it was $6 million over 5 years.
7.6 million, 2.5 million a year. Number one all time. That's the biggest NFL contract in NFL history for a defensive player.
My first check was for like $500,000.
$33.5 million for 7 years.
And then I went on a splurge.
The first thing I bought for myself was a Cadillac Escalade. I wanted earrings that, were $30,000.
I always wanted a Porsche, but didn't need the Porsche at the exact same time I had the Escalade and the tricked out Denali.
Young athletes and their millions, the pitfalls of that much money. What is it about young guys coming into the league these days? What are the pressures on them that cause them to get into that position?
I lost 2 houses back to back.
I lost 4 houses.
Man, you keep this up, you could be broke.
I ended up to the point where I was broke.
I'm just here to tell you, man, it doesn't last forever. Before you know it, I looked up, I was broke.
Yeah. And I mean, this is why all this falls on deaf ears for me. This is why so much of this complaining, because again, once you make into multiple millions of dollars, you should and could be all right if you have a brain between your ears, if you don't do stupid things, if you don't try to keep up with everyone, if you don't try to buy a Porsche to go along with your Escalade, if you don't buy 4 or 5 houses for no goddamn reason, if you have any sense in your brain and you have any completeness in here, you will get to a point of understanding again, where a lot of these guys don't ever get to, which is why all the other nonsense of like, oh, well, this is all about, I got to take care of my family and I got to think about the next generation. Bullshit. You want to buy a lot of things. You want to keep up, you want to buy things, you want to have a lavish life, and you know what? God bless you if you want to do it. That's your money, and that's what you can do with it when you have it. But don't sit here and complain to me and to other people who aren't in your situation about how hard it is or how you're devalued or how you're not getting enough and how if you just had this, then you'd be happy, when it's just not true. I mean, again, they pointed out, in 2 years, 78% of NFL players lose all their money.
And it's gone.
In 5 years, 60% of NBA players lose all their money.
And it's gone.
And it's again, as the documentary shows you, as other people can tell you, there was other quotes from it. Guys like Keith McCants, former NBA star out of North Carolina. I bought a yacht, a mansion, a couple cars. That ain't $1 million. That was $7 million, and I pretty much gave it away, as he didn't learn one of the cardinal sins. Least don't buy stupid stuff like yachts and expensive cars. I guarantee you, I spent $1 million on jewelry, said Andre Rison. Different times, I was taking care of 20 to 50 families, said Bernie Kosar. Again, the pressure to win, the pressure to spend, the pressure to bend. Those are the things that come with all the money in the world that most of you guys aren't even equipped for. So I really don't have that much sympathy for you when you still get a lot of it. And your biggest thing that you come out when you have a camera in front of your face, an NFL season about to start, or an NBA group who looks at, and ignores what's happening in Saudi Arabia, when you compare, you can tell yourself you're the civil rights leaders of the world, and all you talk about is the money. All you can tweet about is the money. All you can discuss while people are in front of you and media people are writing what you say down is the money. I'm done. I get it. But there are no victims in that backfield.
There are no victims in this classroom.
And by itself, money's not going to do everything that you need. So there you go. Don't know what to tell you. I'll move on. Speaking of moving on and moving on into the NBA season, I do want to say I told you so a little bit. Let me see if I have the time. I have a little bit of time to focus on this. NBA next year, the Rookie of the Year, and what happened over the Summer League and reactions, I do find fascinating because, once again, I told you guys, if there's no other sport you're going to have to listen to me to, you're going to have to listen to me on NBA.
Man, I'm tired of being right.
As there was a article just came out just a couple of days ago by a guy, Andre Snellings, and he was adjusting his rookie expectations after the Summer League. And turns out I was right about every damn thing that I told you.
See, I done told you.
Because I'm good at this. Now, I will throw this caveat in as well. I am really starting to doubt that Chet Holmgren will end up being Rookie of the Year, only because there's so many weapons and already such a complete team out there in Oklahoma City. Even though that they'll win some games, I don't think he'll get the stats necessary. But Chet Holmgren probably will have a strong year if he can stay healthy now that he's added some weight to him. But what this NBA analyst figured out after watching the Summer League league games is stuff that I've told you in previous podcasts. So if you go back and look it up, 3 things that I told you. I said Wemby is too young and this hype is too much. It's going to take time. Do not expect him to come out and be this world-changing guy like David Robinson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who had these insane rookie years. I was hearing expectations of 25 points a game and all sorts of nonsense. He's too young. He's too skinny. He's not ready. The other things that they said, and I told you, was that Scoot Henderson is the steal at number 3, and that Brandon Miller is the bust at number 2. And sure enough, this guy's repeating everything I said like 2 weeks later after I told you some of these months before it happened.
I am the smartest man alive!
So, yeah, I mean, he talks about, Victor Wembanyama, and in case you didn't catch some of his Summer League highlights, we can go ahead and throw you here some in case you haven't seen. He only played 2 games. First game, not so good shooting-wise. Second game did much better, but overall was impressive. As, where do I have it here? Here we go, Wemby. This was the game he was good at. And, you can see that 7'4", 5 frame, able to get dribble, ball handle. Kevin Durant comparisons are very fair, especially early on, but defensively more like a Giannis or Rudy Gobert type. Can run, is more fluid than even some of the young skinny guys like Chet Holmgren and others. Seems to have a maturity about him when he's not having to security slap Britney Spears. The three-point shot is going to continue to be suspect, but it does go in every now and again here. And so, yeah, the guy was talking about Wemby, and he said overall he was impressed by his ball handling and passing because he is very complete for being 7'5". But that also, after seeing everything, that he does not expect him and that he may not come into the league as dominant as the hype is expecting him to be, a la Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, a la David Robinson, and that, these were guys that were in their young mid-20s at that time and were full-grown men. That's why they were able to have rookie years where they averaged 28.8 for Jabbar and 24.3 for David Robinson. And he has now lowered his expectations with Victor from over 21 points a game to around 19 points per game. And I'm even going to go lower and say probably 18. He's still skinny. He's still going to get beat up. And even Popovich, there's a reason they re-signed him to a 5-year deal. The Spurs are going to be patient. Spurs fan, if you're a casual Spurs fan listening right now, you're going to have to be patient. His jumper is very inconsistent, and the Kevin Durant comparisons are kind of fair. He might be a taller KD mixed in with a Giannis if we can put together what he possibly could be in the future here. But the fact is, Kevin Durant also was too skinny, also was a little unpolished and raw in some of his movement and not being able to kind of, understand that big frame also takes up a lot of space and how to shorten his moveset and his jumper as good as it is now. Kevin Durant only shot like 29% from threes in his rookie year. And Victor Wembanyama, as I'm going to learn to say his name right eventually, shot only 27.5% from threes just last year in France, and they have a shorter three-point line. So, yeah, I think it's fair with Victor to look at probably 9 to 10 rebounds and a couple blocks a game, I think is a fair average. But points-wise, don't expect, Kareem. Don't expect, Chamberlain. Don't expect David Robinson, Tim Duncan even. I really think 18 points a game is somewhere where you're going to find Victor throughout the season. And even with a Spurs roster kind of focused on developing him, I think that's a fair expectation. Now, the next thing that he said that I thought was interesting was that Brandon Miller is going to be the bust. And, I mean, at this point, it's just pissing me off. I mean, what took y'all so long?
Frustrating. It's frustrating.
And out of like 6 or 7 Summer League games, he finally had one decent one, number 2 overall pick for the Charlotte Hornets, Brandon Miller, but still struggled because he doesn't have it between the ears. And I went all the way back to when this was happening in Alabama and listening to him talk and listening to the way that he said things. I'm like, this kid ain't got it, man.
I ain't got a good
He doesn't
brain.
have it up here, and I don't know what y'all are missing on that. He doesn't have it between the ears. I mean, this is a guy who, again, besides the fact, did not realize when his teammate said, "Bring me my joint," which means that his gun, that it was going to lead to it being used, apparently. This is a guy who has now said openly that Paul George is the GOAT. This is a guy who said that the Hornets are making the finals next year because they drafted him now after they haven't made the playoffs in the last 7 seasons. This is a guy who said he didn't really know who MJ was. This is a guy who said after looking at an app, he didn't recognize Chris Middleton, an all-star small forward in the same conference and in the same, damn position that he is. And so now he goes out into Summer League, and this ding-dong had like 18 fouls in 50-something minutes. In the first 2 games of Summer League, Brandon Miller had 15 fouls in 52 minutes, which is just insanity. And when you think about that, it's 8 fouls and 7 fouls in like 25 minutes per game, and struggled all over the place because this isn't, high school. This isn't Alabama fast break basketball, a high transition team. This is trying to work out in half court and do things here and there and trying to, figure out how to operate and think the game out. And this guy can't think out damn near an Instagram post well enough, a half-court offense with an NBA structure. So why is this a shock that, like, the only things that you're seeing him do is knock down, the occasional 3 and get an open court shot here or there, and then he struggles with everything involved in the half court? I'll show it to you. Yeah, here's Brandon. Fouling people left and right, making bad decisions. There's another foul. There's another stupid foul. Again, 15 in 50 minutes. Slapping people in the face, then complaining to the ref like he did nothing wrong. Nice travel there, Brandon. Let's see, another travel. This one shot he made was kind of indicative of his head and his mindset, but even then that was a travel because he couldn't just do a floater. He had to get wild. He's going to be wild, man. He's going to be wild. He's going to be inconsistent because you got to have more than just the talent at the NBA level. Brandon Miller has the talent. He does not have the head for this, man. Getting scored on left and right. The NBA is quite a load, and I don't think he can handle it.
Quite a load.
Well, Dan can handle quite a load.
Brandon Miller, I'm sorry, I am going to really continue to hit this home, is going to be a bust in my opinion because it takes what he doesn't have. When you looked at his career, even in Alabama, when he was at Alabama, they were a high transition team, and he got a lot of points in open shots in the fast breaker and the open floor. The NBA is going to slow down. You're going to have to think things through. Brandon Miller is not good at thinking through anything. He's not good at thinking through whether he should bring his teammate a gun. He's not good at thinking through whether he should argue with Michael Jordan right before he's supposed to draft him. He's not good at thinking through whether, not being able to recognize, a player in your position like Chris Middleton is worth mentioning out loud. This guy just continues to, Paul George is the GOAT. This guy just continues to do and say dumb things, and then we're shocked when he goes out on the basketball court and he continues to say and do dumb things. Anything else? Anything else you guys want on that?
Your Honor, I object!
And why is that, Mr. Reed?
Because it's devastating to my case!
Overruled.
Good call!
Thank you. Other good call that I had was that Scoot Henderson is the real flipping deal. And, he only played that one, quarter, basically, in Summer League, but had 13 points, 3 assists, and 3 steals. And even, this guy and others are starting to recognize, he's got some raw. He's just a lot of pure fastball. He's a lot of John Morant-ish a little bit. But this guy's it, man. He's fearless. He is someone who seems to really love what he does and wants to be good. He might be a little bit of a prima donna, a little bit of a LaMelo Ballish in his personality and his brazenness. But, he's still that guy. Scoot Henderson is truly going to be something special. That dunk, to me, is still just F your mother. But, as we're watching, this is a lot of G League stuff, but still, going at Victor, you're going to see a lot of this. This kid Scoot is afraid of no one. That's going to be Victor. That's going to be Giannis. It's going to be Jokic. He's not going to give a damn. He's going to go right at people. And now with the Damian Lillard trade hopefully happening soon, he's going to get the keys to the city, so to speak. And he's ready for it, man. This kid is one of those, he plays hungry. He plays angry. He plays with a chip on his shoulder. He plays like he's pissed off about being number 2 overall prospect and then getting picked after Brandon Miller, I guarantee you, was a craw on his side. But he takes challenges. You look early on at rookies, do they take challenges? do they show aggression? And Scoot Henderson shows that in all sorts of ways. This guy, if nothing else, just don't be gun shy. That was another issue with Brandon Miller at number 2. Brandon Miller in his first couple Summer League games was clearly unaggressive and gun shy. This kid is not gun shy. He's going to want the moment. And that's big because when you're in a room full of egos and a room full of guys who all think that they're the best, they'll let you sit in a corner. They will let you do nothing with the basketball. You know, when you're a young guy coming in, the Kobe Bryants, even the 3 air balls that people remember, you have to kind of show people and announce your presence with authority. Go a little Bull Durham if you need to, and let people know, I ain't scared of any one of you. Bernie Mac, I ain't scared of you, mama. Yeah, I mean, basically just let people know. Scoot Henderson has that dog, has that fight. Brandon Miller doesn't. Brandon Miller has a 2-cent head, and Victor Wembanyama needs time. These are all things that I told you before, but you can go ahead and now listen to it that ESPN and other scouts are telling you, or you can start understanding that I do know basketball, and maybe you should just go ahead and pay attention to when I tell you certain things, and then we can move on. All right? Get a little Kanye on you?
I am a god.
I don't want to get that cocky. I do want to get the videos, though, and let's go ahead and call it a day after this. Video time.
You seen it? You seen it?
Don't look at me. Don't look at me, little puppet.
Have you seen this? Have you read about this?
Looking at the clock, I got to hurry here because I'm on it, but these are things I like to do at the end just to have fun, to react, to enjoy, to laugh, to cry, whatever. Please go to Tricky Guy Sports and check it out with us. If you're listening on Spotify or some other audio format, this is always the bonus feature for our YouTube channel, Tricky Guy Sports. You know what? Let me just go ahead and start with the big ones here. People that I'm sorry kind of deserve it. And I really don't have a lot of sympathy for people that kind of deserve when stuff happens to them. I don't know if you're one of those. I am. Instant karma, up in comments, whatever you want to call it, I enjoy it. I do. I enjoy when people I think kind of deserve it get it. And I mean, other people are more empathetic, more sympathetic. I'm not, man. So let me start off with this one who almost got it and didn't. But if he did, I wouldn't care. Some asswipe prankster thought it'd be funny to jump over the rail, I guess like the Grand Canyon or some giant canyon. Almost died. And to be honest, I don't know how upset I'd be if he would have fell. But he didn't. Here you go. Look at this idiot. Oh, this is funny. That close. That close. Asswipe. Moron. Dickweed. I mean, give me a... What are you doing? What are you doing? Screw this guy. If he would have fell, I would have felt nothing. Nothing. What was cute or funny about that? What was important? What was the reason to do that? Yes, you went viral, but to be honest, if he would have went pew, I'd be like, oh well, it's for lunch. Look at him. I mean, how much personal childhood trauma do you need that you need this level of attention and this level of just look at me, asswipe. I'll watch it one more time, then I'm going to move on because this dude's just, Yeah, look, this is funny, right? I'm a prankster. Next time. This lady looks like she's fine, and it was the voice, and this is some news report from somewhere where it's snowing, and this very bougie, pretentious lady, I'm sorry, I chuckled. I went kind of like, yeah, well, you know, get up, you'll be all right.
It was really good out. It's the perfect texture for running. Very low impact on its dry snow, so your feet don't get wet.
That voice. It's just that voice, and I'll get to the video here in a second, but that voice of just like, it's just perfect impact, and your feet will stay dry, and I only eat the most organic of nutrients, and just, you can just tell by that voice she's one of those. And so, yeah, she starts running, and turns out the snow's a little wet, because it is, you know, frozen water.
It was really good out. It's the perfect texture for running. Very low impact on its dry snow, so your feet don't get wet.
All right, thanks. We've seen a lot of people
So your
out
feet
here,
don't
like you
get
said, running, sledding, just enjoying it. One thing, oops, that can happen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Looks like Chelsea's okay. You okay?
When you run on frozen water and you put out to the universe, you know, it's just dry snow, so your feet don't get wet. Your feet don't get wet.
It's the perfect texture for running. Very low impact on its dry snow, so your feet don't get wet.
All right, thanks.
Could be a nice
We've
person.
seen a lot of people out here, like you said, running, sledding, just enjoying it.
And
One thing,
kapow.
oops, enjoying
And
it.
one more
One
time.
thing-
And 3 times. And I'll bet that hurt. Your feet don't get wet. Your feet don't get wet. Your feet don't get wet.
One thing, oops, that can happen, unfortunately. Looks like Chelsea's okay. You okay?
Sorry, once again, felt nothing. Felt absolutely nothing. Don't know what to tell you. I'm a horrible human being. What else of these a-holes getting it? Oh, God, a-hole baseball dad. How many people haven't wanted to see this? Some a-hole dad at some baseball game, yelling at the umpires, being ridiculous. There's only like 30 people in the audience. This isn't exactly the freaking World Series, but of course it's my boy, and I don't like what they're doing, and nah. He caught it beautiful, and even the lady filming it chuckled. And I'm with her. I am with her on this. I'm gonna. My son's going to the major leagues, and I'm gonna give you a piece.
Oh! Somebody help him.
God don't like goodness.
If he doesn't hurt himself, somebody help him.
One more time.
Oh! Somebody help him.
ACL, MCL, ABCDEFG's broken. Everything's torn. Everything with an L at the end is torn.
Somebody help him.
They're laughing.
If he doesn't hurt himself, somebody help him.
Yeah. Feel nothing. I mean, go back to the beginning. This guy sucks. This guy clearly sucks. Getting kicked out of a baseball game. I'm gonna take my backpack.
Goodbye, sir. Somebody help him. If he doesn't hurt himself.
I think even the guy behind him says, like, God don't like children or something. But yeah, there you go. Karma, man. She a B-I-E-I-itch sometimes. She a B-I-E-I-itch. This poor kid didn't deserve it, but I still think it's funny. Maybe he's learning in baseball, you're not supposed to show off. You're not supposed to bat flip. This boy learned from an early age, apparently. Don't bat flip. Even when you're just practicing in your front yard. Don't bat flip, man. The baseball gods are rude sons of bitches. Oh, it's gone. Walk it off, kid. I love he's got the Griffey stare of like when you just yank one. Now Ellie De La Cruz and some others there. I do love the home run stare. And he's got it down, man. He's got it down. Look at it. I mean, he just ripped that thing 450. 450 left field. Just got to work on that bat flip, man. Just got to work on that bat flip. Because it's gone. I mean, it's double deck. It's gotta hurt, man. It's gotta hurt. Don't tempt the baseball gods because they'll get you. Because they'll get you. Or the pitcher will get you. I'll end on this one. This is kind of a Where's Waldo? Let me know if you see it, as the camera was not expecting this to happen. But let me know if you see, if the baseball gods don't get you, some psychotic pitcher who apparently you insulted his mother or something will get you. See if you see what happens here. He's rounding third, and he's dead. God damn. That was a Goldberg-level spear. Jesus H. Christ. WWE needs to sign this guy. I mean, I don't know what he said, what he did, but this pitcher was going to head and take matters into his own hands. Watch this again. Full head of steam, and pow! What'd you say about my mama? What'd you say about my mama, you punk bitch? Bang! Take that! Ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. It's not cool. It's funny. I don't know if the guy deserved it, but I enjoyed it, and I hope you did too. Don't test karma. Don't worry so much about money all the time. If you have enough, you'll be all right. If I had enough time, I'd keep going, but I don't. So I'll see you soon.